Coming up on the January 21st edition of Carolina Week, more than 200 pages, the university's voluminous answer to UNC's accrediting body, and what the report doesn't say.
Do needles give you the creeps? What if you could get vaccinated with no needle involved?
This iconic statue has been on campus for more than 100 years, and it has generated controversy for much of that time. All that and more.
Carolina Week starts right now.
From the UNC School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering Carolina in HD, this is Carolina Week.
The university's new era of openness and accountability seems not to include commenting on camera about the biggest challenge facing UNC. Good evening, I'm Susanna Black.
And I'm Kristen Ruffin. For weeks, Carolina Week has been requesting an interview with anyone in the administration about the university's massive response letter to the university's accrediting body. UNC Chapel Hill administrators are waiting to hear from the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, or SACS, about whether the university will keep its accreditation. UNC has suffered through 4 years riddled with scandal, but I spoke with one UNC professor who isn't sure the administration has learned its lesson. A public policy professor says he could recite the report's predictable language before ever reading UNC's response to SACS.
We've turned the page. We are moving on to a new chapter. We have a whole set of approaches to the problem so they won't arise again.
Approaches, next steps, reforms. The university's letter to its accrediting body outlines actions taken to deal with Carolina's 18-year academic scandal.
A great university just completely shot itself repeatedly.
Shot itself.
In the foot, in the head, its moral center.
Former federal prosecutor Kenneth Weinstein revealed new improprieties in October, finding that academic advisors at UNC steered student athletes toward bogus classes that rarely met, classes that kept many athletes eligible to play. In light of Weinstein's investigation, SACS asked the university to prepare a report that documents its compliance with 18 accrediting standards. In response, the report said the Weinstein investigation found no evidence of any academic improprieties occurring since the summer of 2011. And no evidence that these academic improprieties extended beyond courses in one department. Carter says the issue is dragging on because of the university's approach.
What will arise again are things, because this is a human institution after all, which require candor.
And what's missing in UNC's report to SACS, he says, is how the university plans to better respond to messengers or whistleblowers in the future. The scandal isn't having an effect on admissions. For the 10th consecutive year, UNC's first-year applicant pool is reaching record numbers. As of yesterday, nearly 32,000 students had applied to attend Carolina next fall. Parents and students looking for a competitive edge are learning about the process through a college application seminar at the Chapel Hill Library.
The UNC system will have a new president in 2016. That announcement by the Board of Governors Friday took a lot of people by surprise. Ross has led the system since 2011, but he's had a contentious relationship with some conservative board members. When Ross and the rest of the board sat down with media, things were a bit awkward.
President Ross at a different timeline, and that's it.
Ross says he's not ready to go.
It's not an easy thing for me because, I love it and I would love to be here forever. But, I think, as I said earlier, the board has both the legal right and responsibility and the prerogative to think about transition and to move the university in a way that they think is best.
Faculty Chair Bruce Carnes released a statement Tuesday saying, in part, while the faculty are all saddened to hear of his departure, and while he will be sorely missed, we are very pleased to know that President Ross will continue to be the president of the UNC system for at least another year. Carnes says there will be a faculty council meeting on Friday with discussion among faculty about what led to Ross stepping down.
The board is considering bumping up tuition and fees by an average of 4%. If the increase is approved, students here at UNC Chapel Hill will pay an additional $227 in tuition and fees. That's a 2.8% increase. Board members say they've made as many cuts as they can, and a spike in tuition is the only option to offset rising costs in higher education.
The CDC reports that nationwide flu activity has now reached epidemic levels. 26 people died last week in our state from the flu. This season's vaccine is only 23% effective because the most widely circulating strain isn't the one drug makers predicted. The CDC recommends hand washing and getting vaccinated to minimize your chances of getting the flu. Today, if you want to protect yourself against the flu, you go to a pharmacy and get a shot or nasal spray and hope for the best. Ben Smart joins us now live in the studio to tell us about a promising new approach. Ben.
One UNC research team's discovery using tiny particles could mean big changes for the future of vaccines.
And then that leads
Give
to...
Dr. Greg Robbins markers, a whiteboard, and a few minutes, and he'll show you how vaccines could be transformed using tiny objects called nanoparticles.
When it's in the lymph node, it will actually start activating cells that are involved in antibody production.
Nanoparticles are so small that researchers can create hundreds of thousands using sheets like this one, which works like a mini ice cube tray.
Are about 125,000 times larger.
Using nanoparticles in vaccines could protect against certain lung-specific diseases such as the flu. But now, a surprising discovery. Researchers found the charge of a nanoparticle made a huge difference in how well the immune system responds.
And either put a positive charge indicated by the green peg here, or a negative charge indicated by the red peg. And if we took the positively charged particles, we get a nice strong antibody response. If we administer the negatively charged particles, which remember are the same except for the charge, we see a weak and sometimes no antibody response.
Robbins says this breakthrough is important, but don't expect to see inhalable nanoparticle vaccines anytime soon. When they're finished, these vaccines wouldn't require refrigeration.
And may actually allow for vaccines to reach more developing nations, for example.
Developing nations such as the Congo, where infectious diseases are among the leading causes of death.
Inhalable vaccines haven't made it beyond initial human trials, so for now you'll still have to get the shot or the spray.
Well, I know I'm looking forward to the time that needles aren't part of the process. Ben Smart, live in the studio. Thanks.
His legacy lives on. UNC students and faculty and community members honored the country's most famous civil rights champion at the 30th annual Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration banquet. The event featured student performances from groups such as Harmonix and benedictions from UNC Hillel and the Muslim Student Association. Chancellor Carol Folt also made an appearance. The MLK Citizenship Award went to Velma Perry, who was a leader in the Orange County Civil Rights Movement. Students and faculty continue to celebrate MLK Day on Tuesday with the opening of a brand new art exhibit. The Student Union was the site of the first I Have a Dream UNC exhibit. The exhibition features pictures of students displaying their dreams and aspirations for the future. UNC basketball star Marcus Page even got in on the campaign. Organizers say the art is meant to inspire students and help them overcome stereotypes.
The Blue Devils are accustomed to good publicity, but a controversial decision and retraction of that decision led to major pushback for our rivals. Hundreds of supporters gathered in front of the Duke Chapel to show solidarity with the Muslim community. There was outrage after Duke reversed its decision to use the chapel tower for the Muslim call to prayer. Rather than being amplified from the top of the tower, it came out of this black box right there. Some argue the university bowed to pressure from those who called on donors to withhold support if Duke went ahead with the plan.
Coming up next, why some people are demanding this controversial statue be taken down.
Will the university take action?
Silent Sam. To some members of the UNC community, this historical monument serves as a tribute to the students who fought for the Confederacy in the Civil War. To others, it's a reminder of slavery and recession. Ashley Perry reports about the ongoing debate about Sam's place on campus.
He's overlooked Franklin Street for more than a century. And the Silent Sam Historical Monument statue is raising one question that can't be hushed. Should he stay or should he go?
I think Silent Sam should be taken down.
A powerful request that Junior Max Levin wants the UNC community to hear.
If we want to make Carolina a more open school where everyone can feel welcome, this is a really clear place to start.
Silent Sam was funded by the Daughters of the Confederacy in 1913 to honor the sons of the Old North State, a group that instilled Jim Crow laws and white supremacy despite the end of slavery. But history professor Harry Watson believes that despite this distinct historical context, taking Sam down would cause more harm than good.
That having it there is a very good reminder of the university's complicated past, and it can start a lot of productive conversations.
Productive conversations that senior Omololu Babatunde is eager to have. And to start, she wants Sam to stay.
This is our history. This is UNC's history.
And she believes this history is an important reflection of where she stands today.
The fact that I'm a black woman can be in this institution, that's big.
And it's producing a big conversation throughout UNC. In Chapel Hill, Ashley Perry reporting.
The Office of Communication and Public Affairs says to look for a dialogue about Silent Sam later this spring.
You won't see the lights go out on one Franklin Street landmark thanks to creative fundraising. The Go Digital or Go Dark campaign by the Varsity Theater met its initial goal of $50,000 less than a month after starting. More than 700 people have paid it forward to help the small town theater convert its technology. Supporters will continue raising money until February 15th. You don't need to be a professional to get on stage anymore. An audience gathered at Carborough's Art Center Saturday night for No Shame Theater. From improv to poetry to magic, the open performance venue boasts an anything goes motto. To perform, show up an hour early, and to watch, pay the $5 admission fee. But no guarantees you won't wind up participating too.
In a town known for its parking woes, how come garage revenues are down in Chapel Hill? Officials expected the same parking patterns to return when workers converted 140 West Franklin from a surface lot to an underground garage. But the lot's drop in popularity has left a hole in the town's pocket. If nothing changes, Chapel Hill's parking reserves will be depleted by 2016.
Gas prices are down nationwide, and it looks like the savings at the pump are here to stay. More motorists are pulling up to the pump and leaving with more bucks than before. The average price in North Carolina to fuel your vehicle is $2.20 a gallon. Although our state has the 19th highest gas price in the nation, according to USA Today, prices are still well below last year's national average of $3.31 per gallon. What you're saving at the gas station is going toward higher food prices across the board. The Consumer Price Index that was released Thursday showed food prices rose 3.4% nationally in the past year, outpacing the average 2.7% increase during the past decade. The biggest increases, beef and veal, are up nearly 19% this year. Economists say grocery prices will continue to rise in 2015.
It's been nice enough to walk across campus without heavy coats and gloves lately.
But weathercaster Drew Day says some big changes are on the way. His forecast next.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm Drew Day. Thanks for staying with us. We'll start off your forecast this evening with a look at the satellite across the state. We have plenty of sunshine out there this afternoon after a few clouds that we had earlier this morning in central and northern North Carolina burned away as we head into the afternoon. So that allowed temperatures to make it into the upper 50s across the state this afternoon, even some lower 60s down to the south. Now we'll back out and take a look at the nationwide picture and show you the setup that's going on across the country this evening. We have an area of low pressure just sitting off the coast of North Carolina and an attendant cold front along with it. That will be pushing eastward, and it'll be moving out of the state, taking all that cloud cover we had this morning with it. There's another area of low pressure to the north and a front associated with that as well, and it will be pushing southeastward, but as it does, it will start to fizzle out just before it gets to North Carolina, so we're not going to see any real temperature changes behind that front. Our real focus that we'll be watching will be this area of high pressure right in here. It will be pushing eastward and bringing colder air down from the north, which we'll talk about here in just a second. Now, with the temperatures across the nation at this hour, hour. Again, we're still mild here in across much of the southeast as well, and really no bitterly cold air across much of the country. And the signs are that we will not be seeing any more bitterly cold temperatures, at least not what we had a couple of weeks ago. Temperatures are going to be hanging around normal here for the next several days. Now we'll take a look at the pressure pattern here. These are the isobars that we have here on the map, and you can see this circle here that indicates that area of low pressure that's hanging around offshore. That will be pushing eastward and moving away from the continent here in the coming days. What we'll be watching is that area of high pressure off to the west. It will be building in, and you can even pick out right in here, that little dot is where the model is trying to pick up on that area of high pressure, and that will be bringing colder air down from the north. So in the coming days, we'll be a little cooler, so we'll knock a couple of degrees off our high temperature tomorrow than what we had today. So temperatures will make it into the lower 50s rather than the upper 50s that we had this afternoon. But then watch down here to the south. We'll have a little area of low pressure begin to develop along the Gulf Coast, and then it kind of washes out in the model here for a second, but then it starts to pick it back up right in here later on this weekend. So as that area of low pressure approaches the coast, it will bring moisture into the central part of the state, and which means we'll have some rain later on the days on Friday and into early Saturday morning. And then once that moves on by, we'll get back into an area of northerly winds, and that will keep us cool once again. So for this evening, temperatures will be partly cloudy with light winds staying just above freezing tonight, and then tomorrow morning as you're waking up, temperatures will be in the lower 30s with highs in the lower 50s tomorrow afternoon, although it will be quite chilly once again. 34 by 8 a.m. with temperatures making to the upper 40s with tomorrow afternoon with that high of 52, and then later tomorrow evening will be 42, but again, plenty of sunshine tomorrow afternoon. It's not so bad. And then a look at the 5-day forecast. Temperatures cold on Friday with that rain and cloud cover to hold temperatures down into the 40s, and then the rain starts to move out for Saturday afternoon, and then warm up a little bit on Sunday, but then back to a northerly wind, so that will cool us back off for Monday. So it looks like Friday is not going to be such a good day to spend outside.
That looks like a great night to hang inside and watch Netflix.
Yes, it does.
My favorite. I'll bring the ice cream.
There you go. Perfect rainy day plan.
Thanks, Drew.
Thank you, Drew.
You're welcome.
Carolina football had a postseason to forget.
Coming up in sports, we'll tell you how the Heels are changing things up in a big way.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm Luis Fernandez with sports. Now, students might get the time off, but being a student athlete, it's a full-time job. Since the last time we saw each other, Carolina men's basketball has played 12 times, finishing 9-3 in those games. Next up is a stretch of 3 games in 6 days, starting tonight against Wake Forest. Right now, Carolina is ranked 15th in the country. UNC is the highest-ranked 4-loss team. But if the Heels are going to move up that list and compete for an ACC title, they'll have to fix some things. Recently, turnovers have really hurt this team. They've had 42 of them in just the past 3 games, leads the easy buckets for opposing teams. UNC also needs more on offense from perimeter players not named Marcus Page. Justin Jackson has had a strong game against Virginia Tech on Sunday. That floater was 2 of 16 points for him. Look for him to stay aggressive and develop more confidence in this upcoming soft stretch for Carolina. Head coach Roy Williams says his team just has to stay focused.
Same answer I gave you last time. I knew how to fix the blankety blank stuff. It would have already been fixed. It's, again, I don't think my team is stupid, but boy, we make some dumb plays.
On the women's side of the ball, UNC is ranked 12th in the country and has a few rivalry games coming up. The Heels will play NC State for the, get this, 100th time on Thursday in Raleigh. On Sunday, it's a battle of the Blues. Carolina will face off against number 15 Duke in Carmichael. UNC is 16-3 on the season. Now, while students are flooding the Dean Dome, former Auburn head coach Gene Chizik is heading to the Tar Pit. UNC officially hired Chizik as defensive coordinator Monday morning. Chizik will be coming onto a team that had the 2nd worst defensive performance in North Carolina's history. Chizik has spent the past 2 years doing work for ESPN. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of his time at Auburn. Chizik was a defensive coordinator for the Tigers from 2002 to 2004. During that time, Auburn allowed no more than 17.8 points per game in a season, including 11.3 points per game in 2004. Those are some awesome numbers. Chizik came back as head coach from 2009 to 2012 for the Tigers. The defense was not nearly as great then, but they did win a national title in 2010, War Eagle. You can check out those numbers right there. Now, I'm just saying that national championship ring will look awfully nice to recruits. Now, coming back off the field, athletic scholarships will now come closer to paying the total cost of attendance. UNC was one of 65 schools to vote yes to the proposals at NCAA meetings this weekend. Currently, scholarships include only room, board, tuition, and fees. Athletes have complained that they have a lot of miscellaneous expenses, which will now be covered. And Chiswick's hiring isn't the only change going on with UNC football. We go live to Kenan Stadium, where AJ Nwoko is standing by to tell us about renovations in the stadium. AJ?
Lewis, I'm right in front of what used to be one of the goalposts here at Kenan Stadium. And judging by the construction behind me, this is a project that'll take months to complete. Kenan Stadium has become a construction zone. The tar pit that UNC football calls home has been reduced to a canyon of crumbling earth and clay. The sidelines are now caked with 20-foot mounds of decaying infrastructure from years past as construction vehicles shovel and dump and scrape the playing field. And the reason?
This is a 42-inch reinforced concrete pipe currently, and it goes right down the center of Kenan Stadium.
Director of Energy Services, Phil Barner, has been leading the $2 million project to replace the current stormwater line with a newer 60-inch stormwater line.
The engineer's estimate for this particular section of pipe that's under Kenan Stadium, like I said, was a failure within 5 to 10 years was their estimate, and that was basically 2010. As the university has grown and there's been more of the natural terrain removed in favor of concrete and asphalt, more water flows down through that area under big rain events. And so to help alleviate flooding, we're putting a larger line in.
And although Barner says the project is off to a good start, things will look like this for a while.
I know the project is supposed to be done no later than May 1st, so it'll allow for graduation on Mother's Day this year.
And what about this year's spring football game?
I don't know. That's a question for athletics. I mean, it could be the field will be back if we get ahead of a schedule. I know that, May 1st is what they're looking at, and I think that game usually is in April sometime.
Said that all the pipes should be laid and the ground leveled by February 10th, but extreme weather events could delay the project. There's still 8 weeks left in winter. Lewis?
Well, AJ, it looks pretty dangerous out there. Make sure you don't fall in a hole. Live at Kenan Stadium, that was AJ Nwoko. Thanks, AJ. So we'll see if they can be done by the spring game. Could be interesting.
Thank you, Lewis. Thank you. A local woman is giving back
to people who really need the help. Half a world away. That story is next. What's in the power of a sewing machine? A lot. We sat down with a woman who's transforming the lives of those devastated by conflict. Jacqueline Lee reports.
Ashley Namiro met Congolese refugees who were victims of sexual and gender-based violence. She decided she needed to help.
So what we decided to do was create an employment opportunity where they would come to our community center 5 days a week, 40 hours, and they would produce our line of clothing and accessories.
This Scarborough resident is talking about Mama Africa Designs, a nonprofit she created in 2012. It is a fair trade sewing cooperative based in the Democratic Republic of Congo. It is a country devastated by war, rebel militias, and mineral exploitation.
If women weren't coming to us to sew, then they'd be selling avocados, cabbage, tomatoes on the street and making less than $1 a day.
She employs those affected most by the conflict, single displaced mothers. The process is simple. These women sew clothing in the Congo. Namiro then sells the clothes back in the U.S., and the women in the Congo receive the profits.
Our women know that they're going to get a paycheck at the end of every month. They know that they have job security.
Mama Africa Designs also offers education classes, a nursery, and provides stipends for the children's school fees. UNC senior Danielle Allen worked with Mama Africa this past summer in the Congo. She implemented a life skills curriculum for Congolese adolescents.
So we discussed a lot of things that they don't cover in the Congolese public education system, like conflict management, sexual health, sexual decision making.
Based in Scarborough, Namiro fulfills orders, works with customers, and continues to spread Mama Africa's message.
At the end of the day, when I come home from doing this, and then when I get to travel to Congo 4 times a year, that means more to me than anything else.
Now, I asked Namira what she hopes to do in the future, and she said she wants to open more centers in the Congo to provide more employment opportunities for women. In Chapel Hill, I'm Jacqueline Lee reporting.
Great cause. That does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks for watching. Good night.